All right, guys, good evening. I've been dreading filming. I've been dreading making this video because it's not a good one. My grandpa ended up passing away. A few days ago. We've been going through it as a family. Not so much my kids, but my mom, myself, my mom's brother, my uncle, my cousins, my aunt, his friends. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, we knew his health was declining overall in life, but not this much. And it just seemed like it happened kind of quick. So, he ended up in the hospital for originally what they thought was a stroke. He was getting into his car at church, and his friend was walking him to his car, and noticed he just didn't seem right. His face didn't seem right. He couldn't buckle his seatbelt. He just didn't seem like he had it all together. So the friend called 911, and my grandpa seemed very out of it. Got into the hospital that day. We went and saw him that night, me and the kids. My mom obviously was there all day. And he was like under distress. He didn't really know how he got there. He was a little confused, but he was still normal Gramps, but just kind of not happy. That night after we left, he coded in the middle of the night, and I think I told you guys that. So his heart stopped for about 15 minutes. That's a really long time. They brought him back, and he was on a ventilator for 2 days. Then he got off the ventilator and woke up from his comatose or coma, whatever you call it. He was out of it, and then he was awake and talking, and he got to the point where he was sitting up in bed and speaking to all of us. And there were some days where he spoke clearer or made more sense, but overall, I was speaking to my grandpa again. And that was over the course of a week. And, I couldn't visit him every day. We were in and out of the hospital, a couple days a week. My mom almost, I think, every day. I was there probably every other day. And the couple times I saw him, he was okay. There were a couple times where he seemed a little confused, but he was okay. And it seemed like his health was getting better. Then there were days where my mom would text me and he was getting worse. He wasn't responding, wasn't making sense, wasn't talking anymore. Then the next day he'd come in and he'd be good again. It was very up and down roller coaster. To the point where I had one conversation with him, and it ended up being my final one, which is hard to say. I had a conversation with just me and him on one of the last nights that he was still conscious. And what did we talk about? He talked about how much he loves the kids, how much he loves me, how much he loves that I coach Ellis, and how I'm involved in their life, and how I should have played in the NFL, and all these things. But things he's said to me in the past to where he was totally Gramps. And little did I know that was the last conversation I'll ever have with him. Went home. The next day we had, I don't remember, either practice or something, to where it was like, okay, we're gonna just do that, and the next day I'll go down there. And he requested to see the kids, and since he was getting better, I was like, yeah, I'll bring the kids down. It was less intimidating. He was on less machines and things, so I said, yeah, I'll bring him down. Never got to bring him down. My mom called me at work on Friday. Was it Friday? Thursday. No, Wednesday. Wednesday. It's all a blur. Yeah, because then I went into work Thursday. When she called me Wednesday, she was very distraught, very upset, and it was very eerily similar to, when Jen was at the end. My mom said the lung doctor, the respiratory doctor, wants us to come in and discuss his current path. He was back on the ventilator, back unconscious. And my mom was like, you don't have to come, but I think she's going to talk about, really important stuff. And I was like, okay. So I left work. Thank God for Ashley and some of Ellis's friends who took care of them and made sure they got to where they needed to go. Got to the hospital, and the doctor took us in a room. It was me, my mom, my aunt, my uncle, the doctor, and the palliative care doctor. And I know palliative care doesn't mean end of life necessarily, but it's usually not the best because they're focused on mainly just comfort. And so I remember when the palliative care doctor kind of took over in Jenny's case, it was getting close to the end. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but I kind of, based on when we walked in, based on what he looked like, I kind of had a feeling he was just breathing so difficult. Like, it was so difficult for him to breathe. He wasn't awake, he wasn't aware, wasn't doing anything, just on the breathing apparatus, which is hard to see. She sat us down, and thank God I went, because, I hate to say it, but a lot of the things I heard from Jen and her end of life, we were hearing the same kind of things for Gramps. So I kind of knew, and I could kind of walk my mom and my uncle and my aunt through it, because they were and I was a little more like, I've been through this, I've seen this, I know what's coming, because he was dying of the same thing that Jenny was dying of, respiratory failure. He had fluid around his lungs. The lungs and the heart were working too hard. And your body can't keep up for that long. It gives out. So the doctor asked us if we would be willing to focus on comfort and take him off of the breathing tubes, because they said if we tried to bring him back again through the ventilator and all that stuff, they said maybe there's a chance he could come back in the low percentage. And even then he might have had to get a trach and all these things, and then maybe live in assisted living for the rest of his life. Gramps has always expressed that he did not want that at the end of his life. From the time I can remember when he started talking about end of life, he said, just put me out of my misery. He'd always say that, I don't want to do that. And he had filled out an advance directive, so we knew what his wishes were, and we made sure to follow those at the end of his life here. And the doctor said, okay, well, if you guys are willing to focus on palliative care, then we'll do that. And I said, so does that mean we're talking like within the next couple hours we're going to lose him? And my whole family was like, what? And the doctor was like, yeah. And they were like, how did you know that? And I'm like, that's what happened with Jen. Once you make that decision, the body gives out. It can't fight anymore. So it did the same thing for him. So we were all surrounded. We all surrounded him. We were in his room. They got him very comfy. A lot of the same medications that Jenny did at the end of her life. To where his breathing really calmed down and he wasn't working as hard. And so they finally got to take all the breathing stuff off of him, and then he was just slowly breathing under his own power. And and then we watched him take his last breath, all of us. He died at exactly 6:00 p.m. If you guys remember, Jenny died exactly at 5. So he died on April 15th at 6:00. Pretty amazing. He was such a fighter, so strong, but he couldn't fight anymore. That was it. His body was tired, and he was almost 90 years old. He lived an amazing life, and he took care of so many people and took care of his wife and his kids and me. But I wanted to take a moment and express my gratitude for him and all the things he did for me. You know, I think Jenny has shared this, or maybe I have. You know, I grew up without a dad when I was, I don't know, 3, 4, I don't remember. My parents split up, my dad left, and that's the last I ever saw of him. I never saw him again. And they never worked anything out to where I just never had a relationship with him. And my gramps stepped in from the time I can remember as my dad. He went to every baseball and football game, every single one that I've ever had, to the time I was an adult. And even where I coached, they went to all of those. When I coached in college for a year, he went to all of those. Of course, when he went to Ellis's games, Ellis's soccer and baseball games, Winnie's events, he just always wanted to support his kids, his grandkids, his great-grandkids. And I liked sharing funny stories of him and how he was growing up, because he was a very loving man, but also at the same time hard on you. He wanted to make sure you did it right. We went to his house the other day and just were looking around, and I grabbed his golf clubs because he taught me how to golf. I remember when I was about Ellis's age, even younger, he said, "Come on, I'm going to teach you how to golf." And he got me my very own golf clubs and took me to the driving range, and taught me how to golf, to where I became pretty good. And he taught me everything I know. He's the reason I play it. He was the first person to take me out on the golf course to play a real round. He taught me all the rules of baseball, of football. We'd watch sports together. We'd go over to him and Graham, my grandma, for every holiday, every event. It was always with them. There was a period in high school and college where I basically lived with my grandparents for a little bit. They're just such caring people, such kind, caring people. I wanted to say, that this death, I was able to handle it better. He lived a long life, and it wasn't anything traumatic like cancer or anything like that. It's just kind of old age. But it's starting to hit me as the days go on, that you'll never be able to call him again, talk to him again. It's just a lot of grief in one big giant bucket, I'm kind of getting sick of it. We went to his house and just kind of had a last dinner before my aunt and uncle went back home. They live up north. And that was nice. It was hard to see him die. I didn't know if I'd be brave enough to be there after everything I'd seen with Jen, but I wanted to be there. And I remember before he passed, I asked everybody if I could just have a moment with him alone. And of course they did. And I just thanked him for being the dad I never had, for being so loving and so kind and so generous. I mean, here's the man who not only gave his time and effort I mean, this guy paid for my entire college, bought me my first car. I think he bought 2 of my cars. Always fed me, always, God, just such a generous human. Such a good guy. Always wanted the biggest hugs. You know, he was not a handshake kind of guy or a side hug kind of guy. He wanted a full-on hug from everybody every time he saw a family. A hug there and a hug goodbye, and he always loved to stand outside the house and wave goodbye as we left all the time. He's come over to our house a couple times, and the dogs annoy him, but he was cuddling up with Huckle. I know I have photos of it somewhere. He's a good guy. A really good guy. He was excited to have another Easter at his house, like we normally do. We go over there, and we're still gonna go over there, my mom and I, to the house and just be together. But it's just gonna be me, my mom, and my kids. I miss him. I feel like I've said this before, but I miss him. I miss him. One thought that kept making me just bawl at the hospital was he loved Jen so much. And now he's with her. And I just told him to take care of her. Could be the other way around. She's probably taking care of him. And I was happy that he got to go be with his wife. You know, she died, gosh, I want to say 15 years ago. I don't know how long he lived alone, but he tried dating and he tried meeting other people, but you know, nothing ever made him happy. And he used to say this, that, or the other thing, but it's because he loved his wife so much. And we used to connect. We'd go out to dinner and we'd talk about the loneliness of losing your spouse, how hard it is, and how you have to learn new things and how to be who you are without them, and it's hard. And he would always say, you know, you got it way worse. You're so young. Jenny was so young. And it was just kind of nice to have someone to connect with on that, you know, even though it was hard. But now he's with his wife and he's with mine. And I just hope they're happy together. And I pictured her giving him the biggest hug. But just want to say thank you to my Gramps for giving us funny stories. I told my friends that he passed, and they were like, you always have a funny Gramps story. The things he would say and how blunt he was, and he was a funny guy. But everyone will tell you he was a kind human. It's just hard to see him gone. Hard to watch another person die. It's part of life. But I finally got the courage up to film this, so thank you guys for your prayers for him while he was in the hospital and for reaching out. I appreciate it so much. And we'll do okay, like we've done before. Coincidentally, I have my last grief group in 2 days, so I'll definitely bring this up. And I'll definitely have to, keep up my other counseling because it hurts. It hurts. But it's okay. Tomorrow's Easter. Or by the time this is published, today's Easter. And I'll make an Easter video, and I know the kids are excited for tomorrow, but I just wanted to pass it along because people have reached out and asked, and I just haven't had the courage to make this video. But he passed away April 15th, right at 6 o'clock. And he will forever and ever be with his wife and my wife until I'm there with them. But I love you, Gramps. You're an amazing human. Thank you for being the dad of my life, an amazing friend, an amazing grandfather, an amazing great-grandfather, an amazing human. I love you forever.